Success doesn't require a spotlight. It doesn't need grand announcements or constant validation. The most powerful success is the kind that happens quietly, behind the scenes, away from the distractions of ego and noise. When you focus on building something meaningful for yourself, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. The work speaks for itself. The results speak for themselves. Your progress, your mastery, your growth, they all come from the commitment you make to yourself, not the applause you seek from others. There is a subtle strength in working without the need for attention. It's in the effort that no one sees, the late nights, the early mornings, the countless hours spent refining your craft. That's where real success is built. It's not about showing off what you've achieved. It's about knowing deep down that you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need external approval to validate their journey. The quieter your success, the more solid it becomes. It's the difference between a firework that flashes brightly for a moment and a steady flame that lasts through the night. Mastering the art of quiet success means developing the discipline to stay focused on your path without being sidetracked by competition or comparison. It's about recognizing that your journey is unique and that the only real measure of success is the distance you've traveled from where you started. It's easy to get caught up in the desire to showcase your achievements, to let the world see how far you've come. But that kind of validation is temporary, and it often distracts you from the deeper, more lasting satisfaction that comes from doing the work for its own sake. When you remove the need to show off, you free yourself to pursue excellence on your own terms. You stop worrying about what others think, and you start focusing on what truly matters: your growth, your progress, your mastery. Every moment spent chasing approval is a moment taken away from the real work of self-improvement. The energy you waste on trying to impress others could be better spent honing your skills, deepening your knowledge, or pushing your limits further than you ever thought possible. The less you seek attention, the more attention you naturally attract. Because real success, the kind that lasts, is always evident in the results, not in the noise. There's a kind of confidence that comes from being secure in your own accomplishments. A confidence that doesn't need to shout or boast. It's the quiet assurance that you're building something valuable, that your efforts are adding up, that you're becoming the person you've always wanted to be. That confidence is unshakable because it's rooted in reality, not in illusion. It doesn't depend on external recognition, on likes or follows or applause. It stands firm because it's based on the truth of your hard work, your discipline, and your unwavering commitment to your own growth. In a world that often rewards spectacle over substance, it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to be seen, wanting to be recognized. But the moment you start working for recognition instead of for yourself, you dilute the purity of your effort. You shift your focus from mastery to performance, from building something lasting to merely showing off what you have. The irony is that those who are truly successful, those who have built real lasting achievements, rarely feel the need to remind anyone of it. Their success is evident in their results, in the way they carry themselves, in the impact they make, not in the stories they tell about themselves. There's a profound power in keeping your head down and working quietly. It's in the focus, the determination, the relentless pursuit of excellence without the distraction of external validation. That's where the real winners are made. Success is not the loudest voice in the room. It's the one that speaks quietly, steadily, consistently, until one day You look around and realize that you've built something extraordinary without ever having to draw attention to yourself. Success does not need an audience. The quieter it is, the stronger it becomes. There is power in restraint, in letting results speak for themselves. When you chase success for the sake of recognition, you waste energy on approval instead of progress. The real prize is not the applause, but the confidence that comes from knowing you did the work, regardless of who saw it. Competition thrives on noise. People display their wins to shout, "Look at me!" But the most effective, the most enduring success is built in silence. The less you talk about it, the more time you have to do it. When you focus on action rather than attention, you develop a momentum that cannot be stopped. Quiet success is not about hiding. It is about working with discipline, valuing the process more than the spotlight. The challenge is resisting the urge to show off. It feels good to share your achievements, to let people know what you have accomplished. But that desire for acknowledgement can distract you from the real work. Every moment spent chasing validation is a moment taken away from honing your skills, refining your craft, and pushing forward. The more you seek recognition, the more you become dependent on external approval. That dependency can cripple your progress. Mastering the art of quiet success means shifting your focus from what others see to what you know. Confidence is built in the shadows, in the hours when no one is watching. It is the result of consistent effort, of pushing yourself when the only reward is self-respect. The person who works in silence and lets success unfold naturally is the one who wins in the long run. Their achievements are deeper because they were earned, not given. There is a difference between sharing your journey and showing off. Sharing is about connecting, about inspiring others through your actions. Showing off is about inflating your image, seeking admiration instead of letting success speak for itself. When your motivation is rooted in ego, your progress will always be limited. But when you work for the sake of mastery, for the satisfaction of seeing your own improvement, your success becomes unstoppable. It is easy to fall into the trap of comparison. You see others sharing their victories, their milestones, and it makes you question your own progress. But remember, every success story has unseen chapters, struggles and failures that were never publicized. The noise you hear is just the surface. Behind the scenes, real work is happening in silence. The more time you spend comparing yourself to others, the less time you spend building your own path. The most successful people are often the most understated. They do not need to announce their achievements because their results are undeniable. They let their work do the talking. This is not about humility for the sake of being humble. It is about understanding that true success does not need to be broadcasted. It exists whether people notice it or not. And when you grasp that, you free yourself from the need to prove anything to anyone. Working in silence does not mean isolating yourself. It does not mean avoiding relationships or mentorship. It means prioritizing action over appearance. It means focusing on improvement instead of image. When you stop worrying about what others think, you unlock a new level of progress. You make decisions based on what is best for you, not what will impress others. That clarity leads to faster growth, sharper skills, and a more fulfilling journey. The discipline of quiet success is a lifelong practice. It requires constant self-awareness, a commitment to staying grounded, and a relentless focus on the work itself. The moment you start measuring your worth by how much attention you receive, you weaken your resolve. You start making choices based on fear of being overlooked instead of the desire to be the best version of yourself. That is a dangerous path. It leads to superficial success that feels empty because it was built on external validation. Real mastery is achieved in solitude. It is in the early mornings and late nights, in the hours when no one is watching, that you sharpen your skills. The true test of your character is not what you do in front of an audience, but what you do when no one is around. If you can push yourself to work when there is no applause, you have mastered the essence of quiet success. That discipline creates a foundation so solid that no amount of outside pressure can shake it. The more you cultivate this mindset, the less affected you become by distractions. You begin to see success as an internal process, not a public spectacle. You measure your progress by your own standards, not by comparison to others. That internal metric is what makes success sustainable. When you work for yourself instead of for approval, you build a momentum that carries you forward regardless of outside opinions. Every time you choose action over noise, you reinforce this principle. Every decision to stay focused, to keep improving, to reject the temptation to show off, strengthens your path. And with each quiet victory, you become more resilient, more confident, more unstoppable. Success is not about being seen. It is about becoming the kind of person who does not need to be seen to know they are winning. Success is not something that needs to be announced. It does not require a spotlight, a grand entrance, or a parade of witnesses. True success takes place in silence, away from the eyes of the world. It is built in the hours when no one is watching, when the only audience is the reflection in the mirror and the quiet pulse of determination within. The art of quiet success is about achieving greatness without the need for validation, recognition, or approval. It is about mastering the inner game, where the most powerful victories occur long before they become visible to anyone else. The habit of showing off, the need to broadcast every achievement, to gather applause, to demand recognition, can be a dangerous trap. It distracts from the work itself, turning the pursuit of success into a performance rather than a process. When the focus shifts from progress to perception, the energy that could be spent on real growth is wasted on seeking approval. In that moment, success becomes less about the journey and more about the image. The truth is, the real winners do not need to announce their victories. Their results speak for themselves, and their quiet confidence is a testament to the power of perseverance and discipline. Mastering the art of quiet success requires a commitment to substance over style. It means setting goals that are rooted in personal values rather than in the desire for external validation. The measure of success is not what others see, but what you know you have achieved. It is about reaching a level of self-awareness where your standards are higher than the applause, where the satisfaction of progress is more rewarding than the recognition that comes with it. This way of living eliminates the need for comparison, for competition, for the constant urge to prove oneself. Instead, there is a focus on continuous improvement, on honing one's skills, on creating a life that feels fulfilling at its core. The journey to quiet success begins with an inner shift. It starts with understanding that your worth is not defined by the approval of others, that your journey is not a stage for public entertainment. The more you seek validation, the less control you have over your own progress. When external recognition becomes the goal, every setback feels like a failure. Every moment of silence feels like an empty space that needs to be filled. But when success is defined by your own standards, by the discipline you maintain, by the effort you invest, by the integrity with which you pursue your goals, there is a freedom that comes with it. In that freedom lies the power to move forward with purpose, to take risks without the fear of judgment, to fail without losing sight of what truly matters. Quiet success is built on the foundation of consistent, focused action. It is about doing the work when no one is watching. It is about making sacrifices in private, refining your craft in solitude, and letting the results emerge on their own. Every hour spent honing your skills, every moment dedicated to self-improvement, every decision made with discipline rather than impulse. These are the building blocks of a life marked by true achievement. The champions of quiet success do not need to explain themselves. Their actions speak louder than words. They let their results tell the story, and in doing so, they create a legacy that lasts far longer than any fleeting moment of applause. There's a certain strength in restraint. The person who is truly successful does not feel the need to announce it. Their confidence is rooted in the knowledge that their work is solid, that their results are real, and that their impact is lasting. They understand that real power does not demand attention, it commands it. The more you chase visibility, the more you dilute your focus. The more you seek approval, the more you weaken the very foundation of your success. But when you commit to the path of quiet mastery, you free yourself from the noise. You remove the distractions that come from seeking validation, and you anchor yourself in the purity of your own purpose. There is a freedom that comes with not needing to show off. It is the freedom to work at your own pace, to set your own standards, to pursue excellence for its own sake rather than for the sake of an audience. It is the liberation that comes from knowing that your progress does not need to be measured by anyone else's yardstick. In that space, you become unstoppable. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every moment of solitude becomes an opportunity for reflection. And every day becomes a chance to build something real, something lasting, something that is entirely yours. This is the essence of quiet success. The power to create a life of meaning without the need for constant validation. Success doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be flashy. It doesn't need to be paraded around for everyone to see. Quiet success is the kind that builds over time. The kind that comes from solid, steady work. The kind that doesn't draw attention until it's already made a mark. It's the kind of success that doesn't need validation, doesn't need applause, doesn't need anyone to notice until it's already too late to stop it. I've seen it too many times. People who achieve a little bit of success and suddenly feel the need to shout about it. They post about it, they broadcast it, they make sure everyone knows what they've done. But in doing so, they dilute their own power. They trade in the quiet confidence of real accomplishment for the temporary thrill of recognition. And they don't realize that the more they show off, the less people respect what they've actually done. There's a difference between letting your work speak for itself and making noise for the sake of being noticed. Some people think that success is all about the spotlight, but the truth is, the spotlight is dangerous. It attracts attention, sure, but it also attracts envy, distraction, and a false sense of importance. When you're always in the spotlight, you're spending more time worrying about how you're perceived than focusing on what really matters, building something lasting, something real. The most successful people I've seen, the ones who have really built something that lasts, don't need to show off. They don't need to convince anyone of their worth. They just get to work. They put their head down, they grind in private, and they let the results speak for themselves. And because of that, when they do finally emerge with something extraordinary, the impact is so much greater. The success is undeniable. It doesn't need a sales pitch. It doesn't need to be marketed. It just is. The art of quiet success lies in understanding this. Success that is built on substance, not on noise. It's about mastering the discipline to stay focused when the temptation to show off is so strong. It's about cultivating the kind of confidence that doesn't need external validation. It's about knowing that the real reward of success is not in the applause, but in the freedom it gives you. The freedom to live life on your own terms, to make choices that align with your true values, to build something that doesn't crumble under the weight of public opinion. The loudest people in the room aren't always the most powerful. Often the ones who are truly in control are the ones sitting back, observing, listening, and taking notes. They're the ones who understand that the key to mastery is not in making a spectacle of yourself, but in quietly honing your craft, day after day, until you're so good that the world has no choice but to take notice. Quiet success is not about hiding. It's not about playing small. It's about choosing where to direct your energy. It's about knowing that every moment you spend seeking approval is a moment you could have spent building something great. It's about realizing that the real competition is not with other people, but with yourself. Your ability to stay disciplined, your ability to keep going when no one is watching, your ability to keep your focus when the world is more concerned with your image than your results. That's why mastering the art of quiet success is so important. It's not just about avoiding showiness. It's about developing a mindset that values substance over style, action over talk, results over recognition. It's about making a decision right now that you will no longer be distracted by the need to impress. You will no longer waste energy trying to convince the world that you're worthy. You will simply become the kind of person who does the work, who stays consistent, who lets success unfold in its own time. Because in the end, the real mark of success is not how many people know your name, but how much you've accomplished when no one was watching. Success that lasts is built in silence. It's built in the quiet hours when no one is around to see it. It's built in the moments when you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose consistency over convenience, when you choose progress over recognition. The people who achieve real, lasting success understand this. They know that the foundation of greatness is not in what you say, but in what you do when no one is looking. The problem is, in a world that rewards noise, it's easy to forget that. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success has to be loud, that it has to be seen, that it has to be validated by others. And in doing so, they lose something vital, the ability to build something quietly, steadily, without the interference of outside opinions. The truth is, the more you talk about what you're going to do, the less likely you are to actually do it. When you tell people about your plans, you give yourself a small taste of the success you're after. A little bit of approval, a little bit of recognition. And that can be dangerous, because it tricks your mind into thinking you've already accomplished something. It creates a false sense of progress that makes it easier to procrastinate, easier to slow down, easier to settle for less than what you're truly capable of. Real success, the kind that changes your life, the kind that builds character, the kind that truly matters, is built in private. It's the hours spent working when no one is watching, the discipline to stay focused when there's no audience, the commitment to excellence when there's no one around to give you credit. That's where success is forged. That's where the real work happens. That's where you separate yourself from the people who are all talk and no action. Quiet success is not about being secretive. It's not about hiding your progress. It's about understanding the value of discretion. It's about realizing that your success is not something to be spent on attention, but something to be built on results. It's about knowing that the more you chase approval, the more you dilute your true power. Because at the end of the day, success is not about what people think of you. It's about what you've actually achieved. And here's the key. When you focus on building quietly, your success becomes unstoppable. You remove the distractions of public opinion. You eliminate the pressure to perform for an audience. You take away the temptation to measure your worth by external standards. You free yourself to do the work at the highest level, to push yourself in ways that are impossible when you're constantly looking over your shoulder. The most powerful people in the world, the ones who really shape history, who change industries, who build empires, are not the ones who are always in the spotlight. They're the ones who work in silence, who let their results speak for themselves, who build so much momentum that by the time they do step into the light, it's already too late for anyone to stop them. This is what I mean by mastering the art of quiet success. It's about shifting your mindset from one of seeking attention to one of building substance. It's about understanding that the real competition is not with other people, but with yourself. Your ability to stay focused, your ability to keep going, your ability to remain disciplined when the world is more concerned with noise than with results. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your success is inevitable. Not because you've talked about it, not because you've convinced anyone of it, but because you've put in the work. Because you've done the things that most people aren't willing to do. Because you've stayed consistent when others have gotten distracted. That kind of confidence, that kind of certainty comes from quiet success. It comes from knowing that your foundation is solid, that your progress is real, that your results are undeniable. And when you reach that level, when you've built success in silence, when you've mastered the discipline to stay focused, when you no longer need approval to keep going, nothing can stop you. The truth is, most people never reach their full potential because they get caught up in the need for recognition. They start seeking approval before they've even built anything substantial. They focus more on how they're perceived than on what they're actually creating. And in doing so, they undermine their own success before it has a chance to take root. There's a quiet danger in success that is too loud, too early. It can create a false sense of security. It can make you believe that you've arrived before you've actually done the work. It can lead you to spend more time enjoying the applause than laying the foundation for something that lasts. Success is often measured by what people see, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the house you live in, the trophies on your shelf. But real success, lasting, meaningful success, has nothing to do with what you show. It has everything to do with what you build, what you create, what you accomplish when no one is watching. Mastering the art of quiet success means learning to move through the world without needing to announce yourself, without needing to prove anything to anyone. It means building a life that speaks for itself, a life that is rich in results, not noise. The temptation to show off is everywhere. A new car, snap a picture, a promotion, post a status, a big milestone, share it with the world. There's nothing wrong with celebrating your wins, but when the celebration becomes the goal, you lose sight of what really matters. Success that requires an audience is not real success. It's validation. And validation is fleeting. It depends on other people's approval. But when you build success quietly, when you let your work speak for itself, you own it completely. No one can take it from you. No one can diminish it. It is yours and yours alone. The most successful people in the world rarely make noise about it. They don't need to. Their success is obvious. It doesn't need an advertisement. It doesn't need a spotlight. It simply is. They understand that the more you talk about what you're going to do, the less likely you are to actually do it. Words are easy. Actions are hard. And the more you broadcast your intentions, the more you dilute your energy. Every time you tell someone your plans, you give away a piece of the motivation that drives you to execute them. You feel good because you've said it out loud, but that good feeling makes it easier to put off the hard work. The people who win, they don't waste time talking about what they're going to do. They just do it. And when it's done, when the results are in, you'll see it. You'll know it. There won't be any need for explanation. Quiet success is also about discipline. It's about staying focused when no one is watching, when there's no one to applaud you, no one to check your progress, no one to hold you accountable. That's when real character's built. Anyone can work hard when the spotlight is on them. Anyone can push themselves when there's an audience. But the true test of success is what you do when you're alone. When no one cares whether you show up or not. When no one is waiting to see if you'll follow through. That's where the winners are separated from the rest. The ones who do the work in silence. The ones who stay committed when the world has moved on to something else. Discipline creates a foundation of confidence. When you know you've earned your success through hard work and dedication, you don't need to brag about it. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to defend it. It stands on its own. But when your success is built on showmanship, on theatrics, on the need for approval, it's fragile. It can be questioned. It can be challenged. It can be taken away. The difference between quiet success and loud success is the difference between lasting power and temporary attention. One builds you up from the inside, the other distracts you from what really matters. The danger of showing off is that it distracts you from the real work. When you're more focused on what people think than on what you're actually doing, you're setting yourself up for failure. Every moment spent chasing approval is a moment stolen from progress. Every attempt to impress someone else is a step away from building something meaningful. The world is filled with people who are successful in public but empty in private. They have the appearances, but they don't have the substance. And deep down, they know it. The truth is, if your success relies on external validation, it will never be enough. You'll always be chasing the next compliment, the next recognition, the next form of approval. But if you build your success quietly, if you let your results speak for themselves, you free yourself from that endless cycle. You own your success completely. No one can take it from you. No one can diminish it. Mastering the art of quiet success means shifting your focus. It means valuing progress over approval, results over recognition, substance over spectacle. It means understanding that true success doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't need to be explained. It doesn't need to be defended. It simply exists. And the longer you spend chasing attention, the longer you delay the real work of building something great. The longer you let noise take the place of action, the more you sabotage your own potential. Quiet success is not about being secretive. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing to invest your energy in what actually matters instead of what merely looks good. If you want to master success, you must embrace the power of silence, the power of doing the work without the show, the power of building something that stands on its own without needing a spotlight, the power of knowing that your value is not in what you display, but in what you create. And that ultimately is what separates the truly successful from the rest. Not the loudness of their accomplishments, but the depth of their impact. Success is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need to be seen, heard, or validated by anyone. Real success, quiet success, happens beneath the surface. It is built in private, away from the spotlight, away from the noise, and it is powerful. It is the kind of success that does not need to be explained. It does not need to be justified. It just is. Too many people make the mistake of believing success is a show. They think it is about the flash, the attention, the applause. They think it is about proving something to the world. But that is not success. That is a distraction. That is the ego telling you that you need to be seen, that you need to be recognized, that you need approval. The truth is, success is internal. It is about how you feel when you wake up in the morning. It is about knowing that you have earned what you have. It is about having peace of mind, confidence, and the deep satisfaction that comes from doing the work, whether anyone is watching or not. Quiet success does not need to be loud. It does not need to demand attention. It does not need to be explained. It just happens. And when it does, it speaks for itself. The problem is, most people do not understand this. They think success is about making noise, about being seen, about showing off. They think that if they are not talking about their success, if they are not displaying it, if they are not letting the world know what they have accomplished, then it does not count. This is why so many people chase validation. This is why so many people feel empty even after achieving things. Because they built their success on the wrong foundation. They made it about the outside instead of the inside, about the show instead of the substance. The people who win, who truly win, are the ones who do not need to show it. They do not need to prove anything. They do not need to tell anyone what they have. They just keep winning. They keep working. They keep building. And the best part, their success grows faster than the kind that is constantly on display. Because quiet success is stronger. It is more durable. It is built on real work, real discipline, real focus. It is the kind of success that is unshakable. When you build success quietly, you build it to last. You build it on solid ground. You do not waste energy on showmanship, on theatrics, on impressing people who do not matter. You put your head down. You do the work. You let the results speak for themselves. There is a power in restraint, a power in humility, a power in knowing that you do not need to prove anything to anyone, that you do not need to make noise to be successful, that you do not need approval to win. This is an art, the art of quiet success. And once you master it, once you understand it, once you live it, you will never go back. Success doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be flashy. The most powerful victories often happen in silence, away from the spotlight, away from the noise. There is a certain strength in keeping your progress to yourself, in letting your results speak rather than your words. Quiet success is not about hiding. It's about choosing to let your actions, not your ego, define you. When I started on this path, I noticed something. The people who were truly succeeding didn't spend their time talking about it. They didn't need to. Their work, their discipline, their consistency, it all showed. They lived it. And that was more impressive than any boastful story. There is a kind of power in humility, a kind of confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to prove anything to anyone. There's a difference between sharing your journey and showing off. Sharing can inspire. It can teach. But showing off, that's rooted in insecurity. When someone needs to constantly remind the world of their achievements, It usually means they're trying to convince themselves of their worth. But real confidence doesn't need validation. Real success doesn't need applause. It stands on its own. I learned early on that the more I focused on the work, the less I cared about the opinions of others. The less I felt the need to announce my progress. There's a freedom in that. When your motivation is internal, when your drive comes from a place of purpose, rather than a desire for attention, you can move with a clarity and steadiness that is unmatched. Quiet success has a way of building over time. It's like a tree growing deep roots before it ever breaks the surface. The strength and stability are developed in private, away from the eye of the world. And when the tree finally reaches the light, it stands tall and unshaken. Many people want to skip the process. They want the recognition before they've put in the work. But that's a recipe for failure. The foundation of lasting success is built in silence. The early mornings, the late nights, the discipline when no one is watching. The real work happens behind the scenes. It's easy to celebrate wins, but the true test of character is how you handle the grind, the moments when you're alone, when doubt creeps in, when the results aren't yet visible. That's when you discover what you're made of. Many get caught up in the need to showcase their progress. They post every small win, every step forward, seeking approval, validation, recognition. But that can be dangerous. It can distract you from the real goal. It can make you more focused on appearing successful than actually becoming successful. When you spend more time talking about the journey than doing the work, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Success is not a performance. It's not a show. It's not about being seen. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need the world's approval to know they are on the right path. It's about building a life where your achievements are the proof, where your results are the testimony, where your character is stronger than your ego. Mastering the art of quiet success means learning to find fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome. It means developing a mindset that values progress over praise, that finds satisfaction in the work itself rather than the recognition it brings. When your internal compass is set right, you no longer need external markers to tell you that you're on the right track. You just know. True success is a byproduct of consistent, focused, disciplined action, not a loud announcement. It's a gradual, steady climb. And the higher you go, the less you need to talk about it. The results will speak for themselves. The impact will be undeniable. The legacy will endure long after the noise has faded. And that is the kind of success that truly lasts.